Good morning, everybody. KT here with Wise Images Photography, and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you've ever come to my channel, we like to learn about nature photography and go on fun-filled adventures. And let's just say, sometimes we really don't know where we are. Good morning, everybody, from the beautiful Great Smoky National Park. Smoky Mountain National Park. Okay. Smoky Mountain National Park. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. KT here with Wise Images Photography, and today we are out at the Great Smoky National Park.
No.
No? Where?
The Great Smoky Mountain.
Great Smoky. Good morning, everybody, from the beautiful Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And it is just an absolutely gorgeous day. I already caught the sunset a little bit earlier, and I'm just here at a quick stop off real fast, but absolutely gorgeous. And let's see what we can get into. Let's get going. In today's adventure, we are going up to Cherokee, North Carolina, where I went back in mid-October. It was a very, very quick trip. I literally drove up on Friday, spent the day on Saturday, and drove back on Sunday because I was trying to hit the peak season for the leaves. I missed it by a week, but that's okay because this adventure was jam-packed, tons of fun, a little bit of drama, and just a good old time. We originally wanted to go over to Bryson City. However, because we had bow, some of the trails would not allow dogs on them. So we ended up changing up what we were going to do for the day. And we ended up going over closer to Cherokee and finding waterfalls over there and looking for elk and all sorts of fun things to get ourselves into, basically. First, we decided that we were going to start off with the sunrise for the day. So we headed over to the Oconaluftee Valley overlook, and we literally got there just in the nick of time. I set up the GoPro, I set my tripod, and then up came the sun. It was absolutely beautiful. Then we decided to head on down the mountain, and we stopped at a few little overlooks and just kind of piddled on our way down. And then we went ahead and stopped at the Oconaluftee Visitor Center for a quick break. And then we decided to head over to Cherokee because there was a store that I had gone to in the past that I wanted to check out again because I wanted to see if there was anything new that I wanted to go ahead and purchase. But unfortunately, I didn't see anything there. Actually, I didn't even see the store that I had originally liked, that I liked before. There was a lot of different things in there that I liked, but they weren't there anymore. So I ended up not getting anything. However, when I looked over at the Museum of the Cherokee Indian, I noticed that there was a group of Native Americans sitting over there, and they were doing some things over there, and it kind of piqued my interest. So I went ahead and I walked over there to check it out and see what they were up to. The three Native Americans were actually set up because they were kind of doing like crafts, and they were working on different trades and whatnot. The one gentleman was working on making a basket, and the other gentleman hadn't quite got set up yet. And the last gentleman, he had lots of different tools and weapons that he had been working on. And now this next bit might upset some people a little bit, so I kind of wanted to give you a heads up on that before I go into the next bit of what was going on. I'm going to be talking about hunting and bear meat. I know I personally don't like to hunt, and honestly, for the longest time, I had it was like Bambi, okay, guys? And it was a hard topic for me. And as I got older and I started talking with my dad, and I also talked with some other hunters and whatnot, I realized that they really do care about the animals. And I also know that they take great care when they're cleaning the animals, and they want the species to thrive, and they want to do what's best with the animals. And so that's kind of where I'm at with hunting now. I personally still would not want to do it, but I'm not naive to the fact that, you know, I know how cows get to Publix, okay? So, and I guess I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it because sometimes I'm especially in this environment, really putting it out there how I feel about something. So back to Cherokee. When I walked up as I had mentioned, the one gentleman was skinning a bear that his dad had hunted the previous day. He talked about how he was going to repurpose the different parts of the animal, which I think is really important because they don't let any part of the animal go to waste, which is something that's important to me, that there has to be a purpose for the reason why an animal would have to go down. And he invited me to lunch and said, we're having bear meat. And I thought that that was really special. So I said, yeah, I would love to try some bear meat, because I wanted to find out and taste, something from their culture. So I hung around and I waited for the bear meat to cook. He had one of the other gentlemen go ahead and make kind of like a spear out of the bamboo, and then he put the meat on there, and then he put it over an open fire, and we all just sat there and talked about the different weapons that he was making. We talked about basket weaving. We talked about other topics. Then a little bit later on, he took the meat and he actually put it a little bit deeper into the fire and put it on top of the stone and let it continue to cook for a little bit. And then finally, when it was done cooking, we were able to have little bits and pieces of this bear meat, and it was really, really good. And Bo, he even offered it to Bo, and Bo turned into like a little ravenous dog with the bear meat. He really, really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it too. And I just thought it was awesome that he shared his lunch with me. So before I left, one of the gentlemen that I had been talking to, he said to me, he goes, you know what, I'm really glad you stayed and tried the bear meat. He goes, because so many people won't even try it. And he goes, honestly, he goes, a lot of times when we do get bear, he goes, we don't share. And we keep it a secret. We take it home and eat it for ourselves. And when he said that, it made me realize how special it was that the other gentleman shared his bear meat with me, even shared it with Bo. And I just thought that that was really cool that they brought me in for the day to have bear meat with them. And it was really awesome. And I just felt really honored and special that I got to share that moment with these gentlemen. And out of anything that I did all day long, I must say that spending time with them was the best part of the entire day, because it was awesome. Now, I learned a lot when I was there, and the one gentleman that was making the basket, him and I talked quite a bit while we were there, and I really liked how Native Americans would settle disputes. And a lot of times it would be over hunting rights and stuff. And as times have changed, their needs have changed, and what they're going to have a dispute about have changed. But they would play a game similar to lacrosse. And of course it had some unspoken rules, if you know what I mean. Might get a little bit rougher out on the field than it should, but it was there. They basically, what would happen is the tribe leaders would talk, they would come up with the terms, and then they would go to the field, and then they would go ahead and play the game. And whoever lost had to basically pack up and head on home, and they lost whatever the terms were. They had to accept it and walk away. And then the winners got to have whatever the terms were. And sometimes, depending on what the terms were, they were able to challenge them again in a year, or maybe it could have been 3 years, or whatever the elders had decided on. And he had told me, he goes, well, all three of us are from different tribes. He goes, we're cool here, we're just talking and we're having a good old time. But if we were to get on the field, it would be a completely different story. And him and I both agreed that it would be fantastic if we could still do this in today's society, instead of losing, when we have a dispute, just go play a game, everybody accept what happens during the game, And then that way we wouldn't have so much loss of life like we do now with all the wars that we have. Now after lunch, we went ahead and headed over to Mingo Falls. This waterfall is about 120 feet high. It was really beautiful waterfall. The hike to the fall was relatively short. It was like less than a half a mile. But here's the kicker. It was 160 stairs up and 160 stairs back down. So it was a little bit of a difficult climb. So if you have issues with stairs, that might not be the waterfall that you want to go ahead and go to. It was jammed packed. When we got there and we got up to the top and we were on the bridge, there were so many people there, the bridge was shaking. So really my tripod was useless. So I decided to get off the bridge off to the side, and it seemed like a lot of the trails were closed. I don't know, maybe a recent storm came through, so the trails were closed. But I did go down towards the bottom of the waterfall, and there were just a lot of people there, and there was a few kiddos there, and they were kind of doing some things that were a little dangerous, and it was kind of driving me nuts. And the middle school teacher in me wanted to be like, don't do that, you're gonna get hurt. But I had to keep my mouth shut, and then I decided that, you know, I wasn't really able to concentrate. I was really worried about these children. And, you know, the lighting wasn't exactly right. There was just a lot of different things going on. So I decided to just enjoy the waterfall for just a very small, a couple minutes, and then said, let's go ahead and keep on going because I don't want to see one of these kiddos getting hurt. So we proceeded back down the wonderful 160 stairs, 160 steps worth of stairs. And then when I got down to the bottom of the stairs, my legs decided, hey, guess what? We're not going to work anymore. And then I collapsed. So I've been kind of used to that. The first time I couldn't walk was when I was 18. So when they work, I do as much as I can. When they don't work, I just kind of deal with it. So I went ahead and I sat on the ground next to my truck, sat there, chilled out, let my legs kind of relax and kind of chill out a little bit. And then up I went when they were feeling a little bit better. And then off we went to Soco Falls. Soco Falls is a beautiful double waterfall that is between the Cherokee, the Cherokee, North Carolina, and Maggie Valley. Now the parking was a little bit tricky to say the least, but I did manage to find a spot right by the trailhead for Soco Falls. What I did notice is some people would go up the mountain a little bit further and then walk back down to get to the Soco Falls. So here we are, we're at Soco Falls. It is a very steep climb to get down there. They have ropes, you know, by the trail to kind of help with your balance and whatnot. We went down a little ways. The first part's not too bad, and then it kind of leveled out and went to the right, and you could go and look from up above. But I was determined, whether that was the right decision or not, I was determined to get down to the bottom of the hill. So here I have one leg, one leg that was working and one leg that kind of wasn't working. So I kind of scooted my way all the way down to the bottom of the valley there, so that I could go ahead and get a couple of shots. And here's a couple of shots that I took while I was there. I really wasn't able to get much because there were people that were coming down the mountain as well. And I'm really thankful for the gentleman that stopped his whole entire family to give me just a couple of seconds to be able to get the shots that I needed to go ahead and get. After that, I ended up going back up the mountain again, and I basically just used my one good leg and then used my arms. I had my camera strapped to my body, and then up I went, and it took a while. Looking back at it, it was probably not the smartest thing to do, but sometimes I get a little a little stubborn because I get aggravated with my legs. But anyways, that's it. I made it back up the mountain, thank God, and then off we went to our next destination. And we did go ahead and take some pictures from up above as well. If you're finding value in this, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button for me. And after this, we went back to the Okanalofte Visitor Center because we were determined to see some elk. And here is a quick clip from the field. All right, so we're over at the visitor center near Cherokee, and we're waiting to see if we can see some elk. So the line's pretty long, but I don't see anything out here yet. Hopefully we'll be able to get some photos. That'd be pretty cool. Anyways, all right, I'll keep you guys posted. Needless to say, we waited about an hour and a half and no elk. But we did get to see a prairie dog. Check him out. He was a little too far out of my range, but that's okay. He was absolutely adorable. After waiting for an hour and a half and no hope of seeing any kind of elk, we went ahead and decided to head back to the hotel. As we were driving back and we were on the road, the cars all started slamming on brakes, and there was a huge elk to the right-hand side. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stop, was not able to pull off on the road because by law you have to stay a certain distance away from them. And so I just got to see it with my eyes, but guys, this elk was huge. I have never, being in the truck and then looking over and seeing the elk really put it into perspective of how big this animal really was. And I wish I could have been able to capture it for you all, but as I said, I was in the middle of driving, so I was not able to do that. So needless to say, we kept on driving home. One thing that I wish I had done was, as we were driving, I had my windows down, we were driving through Cherokee, and I could hear the Native Americans telling some stories. And I had remember reading about that. They were telling some stories by the fire. But guys, we had literally woken up before sunrise and the sun had already set at this point and it was getting late. I was getting tired. So we decided to go ahead and head on back to the hotel. But you know what? I am kicking myself now that we didn't stop and listen to the stories. That part I regret, but you know what? I can always go out there another time, and that's what I said. But that was a little regret for the day, was not stopping to hear the stories, because that would have been cool. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss any episodes. If you found this valuable and you think this might be something somebody else might enjoy, please go ahead and share the video with them. And let me know in the comment section below, what was your favorite part of today's story? And until next week, see you later, alligator.